All right, Practicum. So now we're going to take a look, now that we know how to use and manipulate the user workspace, we kind of know where things are laid out. Let's go ahead and jump into our first project. We're going to create a simple title slate. So we're going to grab a piece of video footage. We're going to grab some text or add some text to it, animate that text layer with its opacity, and then kick it out as an H.264. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into After Effects and get started. All right, as you can see, I have After Effects open, and I've got a new project. It's totally empty. I'm in my standard layout, so I know we created custom user interfaces or custom workspaces a bit ago. I'm in my standard workspace, and I'm going to go up to File and say Import File. And you're going to search under B-roll, and it automatically opened up to where I wanted to go, but we're going to click B-roll and look for any video clip. There's a ton of stuff out here that we have. What I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to go to aerial footage, and I'm going to go to the Excel Center and grab just one of these clips here. I'm not too sure what they all are. Now, one of your options is you can create a composition. So it actually imports your video footage and creates a composition with that clip. At this point, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it like this. It says import as footage or project. We're going to say footage as well. And we're going to leave all of that the same and click import. Okay, just like that, there's our video clip. Excellent. So now let's go ahead and create a composition. So to do that, we're going to go down to the bottom here and click this little icon here, create new composition. We're going to give it a name. Let's call this title slate. Okay. And we want to keep this 1920 by 1080. That's fine. Square pixels. Now, this may default for you and say 30. I'm going to click this down arrow, and if I'm exporting this out to something that's cinematic that I know is shot in 24 frames per second in Premiere, I'm going to switch this to 23.976. That way, when it comes time to work in Premiere, everything will encode out a little bit quicker because it's not having to look at all of the different frame rates. Okay, so we'll say 23.976. Resolution's full, that's fine. Duration. Now this is hours, minutes, seconds, and frames. So again, hours, minutes, seconds, and frames. And I want this to be a 5-second clip, nothing too long. Okay, so I'm going to change this right here to 0.5. Make sure it says 5 seconds. Okay, and then click OK. And there you go. There's our title slate composition all ready for us. Our next step is that we're going to trim down our video clip because I know my video clip is pretty long. So I'm going to double click on my clip, and it opens up into this thing on the right called footage. It's a lot like your source monitor or your source panel in Premiere. And we're going to find a section of this, just kind of scrub through it, and find a section of this. Actually, I'm going to zoom out. It's at 50% here. Let's zoom out to fit. There we go. Now I can see what's going on. Let's grab this. So I'm going to set my endpoint here, and I know I need about 5 seconds. So I'm going to jump out to about here. You know, I like that much right there. So I click that one, which means I'm going to have to adjust my endpoint. So I'm just going to bring this in to, we'll see, something around about like that. It's probably a little long, but that's okay. Now that I've got my clip, or at least the segment that I want, let's go ahead and drop this into our timeline. So to do that real easily, I'm going to click Overlay Edit, right there. Boom. And there you go. There's my video clip right there. And you can see it is a little bit long because it continues on. You can also see that it's too large. Our sequence or our project is 1920 by 1080, but I know this footage was shot in 4K. You can see that by the resolution up here in the upper left corner in our project panel. So let's go ahead and adjust the scale of our footage. We're going to click this arrow here in our timeline next to the video clip, and I'm going to click the arrow next to transform to expand that. And you can see scale. Now the shortcut for scale is S. If I click the S key on my keyboard, it isolates the scale. Okay. To show everything again, just click that arrow 2 times, and it pulls everything back up. Now I'm going to change the scale to 52%. So I'm just going to click on my 100% there and type in 5.2, enter. And there you go. Now it's set to 52%. We can see most of our clip. That looks good. The next step is really going to be adding text. To add text, we're going to come up to the top and use our text tool, right? And you can see there's horizontal or vertical type. I'm just going to stick with horizontal for now. And I'm just going to click anywhere in my timeline. And I'm going to type out, welcome to tarot, or something, whatever you want to type out. Type out some text. And then I've made a habit of changing to my selection tool after I'm done typing, just so I don't make any mistakes. And so I don't add extra text that I don't want to put. Now, if I double click on my text, whoops, let's try that again. If I double click on my text, or click and drag, there we go, so you're highlighting your text like that, you can go ahead and adjust your font size, right? Your line spacing, and all of that, just like you would in, like, say, Word or any other program. But I'm going to keep this like this, okay? Again, go back to your selection tool once you're done. Now that I do have my selection tool selected, I'm going to grab my Welcome to Tarot text. And I'm going to slide it wherever I want to put this. Now, I want to put this in the center, somewhere in the center, but let's see if I'm actually pretty close. Let's see how close I am. So down here in our composition panel, there's a little button here, and there's different guides you can click on. So I'm going to say Title Actions Safe. You can also look at proportional grid if you want to see that, but Title Action Safe is pretty good for most of the things that I do. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball this for right now. It doesn't have to be perfect. Looks good. So there you go. Now we've got some text over video in After Effects. Our final step is to add some animation to our text. So let's expand the text layer out, transform. And then let's look at opacity. The shortcut for opacity you would think would be O, but it's not. Unfortunately, it is T. That is the weirdest thing about After Effects, I think, is that the shortcut for opacity is T. So think of opacity, okay? And we're going to start at 0, and I'm going to change my opacity to 0. So I'm just going to click on 100%, type 0, click enter, and it's gone. Now we need to make sure we click our stopwatch to create a keyframe, so it records that information at that time. Now let's move out to 15 seconds, or 15 frames. So I'm going to click here and type 15 frames, and click enter. And you can see it jumps out to 15 frames. At this point, I'm going to change this to 100%, and I can just click and drag to 100, and there you go. So now you have, if you play it back, you've got 0 to 100, an easy transition for your text. In the next video, we're going to go ahead and export this out using Adobe Media Encoder, and we'll get this up on YouTube, and your first project will be complete. We'll see you in class.